What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Cole Sounds Off. I am drinking spiced apple cider. It is officially fall, y'all. It's beautiful outside. It's nice and cool at nighttime. It's got that magic in the air that I love. I am just an absolute sucker for fall and all of the little things that happen during that time. I love I love apple cider. I love pumpkin spice. I love brown sugar and cinnamon and just all that stuff, dude. There's something about it. It's your last chance to be happy before the evils of winter set in and everything is sad and dark for months, you know? Like kids get to have joy on Christmas Day because they don't have to think about all the terrible things about like snow and frozen sidewalks and all of those things. So this is my last chance. Let me have this. Let me be a basic white girl. Let me do what I want to do. Let me live my life. Let me have my little bit of joy that I have inside of this mug, and let me just enjoy things. You know, that's the thing that I think is the most important in this world is just enjoying things. But other than that, things have been good, guys. Honestly, like the past week or so, things have been great. I've been falling back into the pattern of making content on YouTube and streaming and doing all those things. I've been playing Throne and Liberty. I've been playing MapleStory. I've been playing Old School RuneScape. I've been playing Guild Wars 2. Things have been a lot of fun. The vibe has been really, really nice around the channel lately. You know, aside from the idiots who are going to show up and be there no matter what, those people don't seem to matter to me very much anymore. And like I'm having a good time, man. Honestly, like I'm kind of having a blast out here. Things have been really really fun. MapleStory's been a lot of fun. I've been thinking about some weird things this week for sure. I've been listening to a whole lot of podcasts and things and sort of just like putzing around, working on this big order for the business, making like a ton of wax, like 2,000, like, oh, I don't know if it's 2,000, like probably like 400 wax melts and like 600 lip scrubs or something like that. So that's been a big deal that we've been sort of working towards. I made a whole bunch of videos this weekend. I reacted to some videos about Throne and Liberty, and I reacted to a RuneScape video from Ideal, which was really, really nice. I actually really liked both those videos that I reacted to. I really like the Lazy Peon. There were a whole bunch of people in the comment section of that Lazy Peon video who were like, Lazy Peon makes garbage content for MMOs, dude. I don't know if I'll ever get over the idea of people like, or I don't know if I'll ever get over the displeasure that it gives me whenever I see people out there saying that something is bad when what they mean is I don't like it. Like there are sentences that mean things that you can say, and when you say them, it makes you look like an idiot when something is disprovable, you know? Like when you say like this is garbage content, like you know, Lazy Peon makes terrible MMO content. No, he doesn't. Lazy Peon makes good MMO content. You might not agree with the ways that he does it, but he makes very good MMO content. It looks really nice. It gets lots of views. It's very timely and made with lots of dedication to the craft. The term you're looking for is good. Very close. Nice try. I appreciate you, but no, the term is good. Like I just don't get people who like I have this kind of thing. I wonder about this sometimes. Like I wonder if people out there are complaining so much on the internet because they feel like that the things that people are doing on the internet, they are totally incapable of doing, that it's something you have to be blessed with or some kind of gift that you have to be given, or you have to be like given the right to do it. And so they feel like their entire lot in life is to sit around and be critical and be miserable and be bitter because they feel like they can't do any of this stuff, when that's not true. You know, it might be a lot of work. It might take you a very long time to get somewhere, but anybody can do anything, dude. Like I'm living proof of that. I'm just some guy who just makes some videos on the internet and some people show up to watch them. I am not like funded by anybody. I do not have a network behind me. I don't have sponsorships. Like I am just some dude who made videos for long enough that I got enough subs and enough views to then start running advertisements on my YouTube channel. And then like people just showed up because I made a whole bunch of videos for a long time and I like proliferated the internet with my stupid mug, and now I'm here, dude. You know, like just do the thing that you want to do. Just stop being unhappy. It's really that simple. But okay, so back to the podcast that I've been listening to. So I listened to an episode of Theo Vaughn's like this past weekend, and it had Kevin Smith on it. And Kevin Smith was talking about how long he had been doing his podcast for. And he was talking about how it's, you know, called the Smodcast. He started doing it in 2005, 6, 7, to whenever it was, like really early on. And he said that in 2001, when he first like started running a website, he was on like forums back in 2001. He encountered is there a patch like right here in my beard where I'm missing hair? That's so interesting. I don't have that on the other side. What happened there? Huh. Interesting. Sorry, that caught my eye. Anyways, when he first started running his website, he encountered like his first troll, right? And he said that there was like a person on there who would comment negative things about him that were not true. And he was like, well, I don't mind people like saying negative things about me, but if they're not true, like I need to correct this guy so that he knows that he's like believing lies. Like the reason he doesn't like me is because he's believing lies. And he said that he went on there and he messaged that guy and he said, hey, just so you know, like, these things that you're under the impression of about me, the reasons that you don't like me, like those things aren't true. I don't say those things. I don't believe those things, like all this kind of stuff. And the guy said, oh, I don't know who you are. I just know that you're one of the names that if I insult you on the internet, people come out to defend you and I can start arguments with them. And that's how I like to spend my Thursday nights. And I thought that was such a crazy concept. I know that trolls do things because they enjoy doing it, that they talk smack and they start drama because they enjoy doing it. But I guess I had never put it that into that literal of a framework inside of my brain, that people out there are literally like, oh, I say rude things because I don't even mean them. I just like to say them because it stirs up people and then I can argue back and forth with them and I find that to be fun. Like to the point that I've seen Reddit posts before of people who like when they feel like they start arguments that only they can win. And then when they get backed into corners with it, they'll even be like, fine, you won this one, dude. You got to be relevant for a minute or whatever. And it's like, buddy, this is Reddit. Nobody's relevant. This is all nonsense that we're creating and performing for each other because we're that big of losers. Like, you are living in a fantasy world for real. And I wonder if people know that or think about that or feel that way as well. Like, the things that some people defend as if those things are important is always so surprising to me, because there is so few things in this world that I find very important or care very much about, or the videos that I make, the content that I create, like I'm aware that it's not perfect. It's something that I do for fun. It's kind of whatever. Like, my friends, my family, those are the things that I care about. My responsibilities, these things, the things that I need to provide for. Everything else is like a whimsical play date for me, and I enjoy it in the way that I enjoy it. On some of my really recent videos, when I made the video about Throne and Liberty, there was a person on there who said something along the lines of like, an MMO isn't worth playing unless you can get 1,000 hours of it, because MMOs are long-term investments. And I thought, like, investments in what, my dude? Like, what are you investing in? Do you know what an investment is? What returns do you see on any MMO? I also made a statement that all KMMOs are just wastes of your time. That's what they do. And someone was like, no, that's not true. KMMOs, like, they're really good at wasting your time, so it's not a waste of your time. And I was like, no, like, you don't get what I'm saying. This is the thing, dude. Like, there are so many conversations that I could have on my videos. I see this all the time. I was thinking about this today, actually, how many comments I see across my videos that I think to myself, I could argue you out of this statement. Like, I can see clearly where your line of logic is here. And if I sat here for long enough, I could convince you the other way of this. Like, or you would have to like get really aggressive with me. Like, I could definitely talk you through this, but it would take so much of my time that I'm just not going to do that. So like, the content that I create is sort of like me doing that in some kind of way without having to like go through it for every single individual person. But that comment of like, these games don't waste your time. It's like, no. Video games are a time waste. That's what they do. There's almost no situation in the world where video games is anything but a way to waste your time. And that's totally fine. That's what hobbies are. Creation, fulfillment, all that stuff is a time waste if you think about it. It doesn't further you putting food into your mouth or like paying your bills or doing whatever it is that like is the stay alive thing of the time. It is a add-on fun thing to do that you're supposed to enjoy. And that's what it is. That's what a hobby is. That's the whole thing. Like, you are filling in free time that you have to spend. You are wasting time because you need to get through to the next moment of thing that is, your doctor's appointment or your job or whatever it is that you need to do. That's what you're doing with all of these things. Like, by nature, that is the thing. And I think that like if we can't come to that shared conclusion there, it's going to be hard for us to conversate about these video games in any kind of way, because people have this weird way of looking at video games that I don't agree with at all, where they're like, this game has to be so good that I will play it for 3,000 hours or else it's a bad game. And I go, no, 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 no. If you play it for 30 hours, it's a good game. If you play it for 100 hours, it's a great game. If you play it for 3,000 hours, it's one of maybe 10 games of all time. And if you're always looking for that, if you already have that in your life, I don't know why you're looking for it still. Because if you're someone who really loves Guild Wars 2 or RuneScape or whatever those games are, and you've put 4,000 hours in them, and you plan to put another 8,000 into them, you really don't want to find a game that's going to necessitate you putting 10,000 hours into. What you want is something to spend 40, 50 hours on over the next couple weeks while you're taking a break from RuneScape, and so you can go back to it. That's the thing that you're looking for. These games are in different classifications, and I think that you can experience things and see differences in things without having to be like, this is the greatest thing that's ever happened to me, and I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. But I think that a lot of people are sort of all in or not in at all people, and I just, like, I don't get that. I think that if you want to progress in life, you have to try lots of things. And if you're going to try lots of things, one of the things that you learn, especially after you try lots and lots of things, is that trying something for an hour or two is not trying it at all. Like, there is a thing that your brain will do unless the thing that you're trying out is really directly linked to something else that you've already done before and you have a really easy way of clicking with it. There is a cognitive dissonance that your brain will create because it doesn't know how to do what this game is trying to ask of you to do. And you can like kind of putz through it and like, I think of it like this. Back in the day, I don't know if you guys have ever played Dead by Daylight. Dead by Daylight, horror game. You're in a big fog, and everything outside of that fog is basically invisible or very murky and blurry. But you can see what's right in front of your face, and you can see a little bit outside of that. But then it drops off very quickly. And I remember when I was playing that game and I was first getting started, I was like, it felt like I was like fumbling through the darkness, and every single thing that I would come up on, every objective that I would come up on, it was like I was coming out of the darkness into something. I had no idea where it was in relation to anything else, but I knew that I had just stumbled upon this objective and I could work on this objective. And that's the way that I feel about every video game that I play nowadays. That when you start playing a new game, when you start a new hobby, when you do anything brand new in life that you haven't ever experienced before, you are stumbling through the darkness, and you can come up on objectives and you can say, well, I do or don't like doing this one objective, but you don't know how they interrelate to each other. You don't know how they're all connected. You don't know how the web works. And all you're doing is making preconceived notions into decisions. And I think that's a really bad thing to do, especially if your goal is to like progress in life, if your goal is to get better. And I think that, like, for me at least, that's the thing that I'm trying to do on the internet at all times, is to get better and progress and do all these things. And also just like, I just enjoy living like this. You know what I mean? Like, I was talking to Tiff today about how, damn, that apple cider is good. Oh my goodness. I had never had apple cider before. It's so good. It's so appley. It's like, it would be very off-putting to a child, I feel like, because it's so appley. It tastes like there's vitamins and minerals in it. It's awesome. Anyways, I was talking to Tiff today about the way that I live my life. And I was talking about the band Forever the Sickest Kids, because I've been listening to Forever the Sickest Kids again. I've listened to them a lot over the course of my life. I probably discovered them when I was around 12 years old. And I was telling the story of how I discovered Forever the Sickest Kids and how I was playing MapleStory back when I was 12. Me and my friend Jake were. And we were playing with this girl who lived in Ohio, supposedly. I don't know where she was from, but she had FTSK in her name or bio or something. And we were like, what does that stand for? And she said, it's a band called Forever the Sickest Kids. I saw them playing a show here. Have you guys heard of them? And we were like, no. Or at least I was like, no. Jake might have heard of them. He had a cousin who sort of knew them a little bit. And I was like, no. Let me look them up. And so I discovered Forever the Sickest Kids that way. And I remember sitting in my room or in the office, listening to Forever the Sickest Kids, playing MapleStory and RuneScape and all those kinds of things. And I have a lot of memories like that. And I think about, nowadays with discovering Breakins or discovering, Subi Club or discovering Bill Murray or all these different people. Like, this all directly for me comes from this kind of life of living not, I don't want to say chronically online or terminally online. I'm not to that level for sure. I go out into the world and do things. Like I love to be out and about and I love to get out of the house for sure, but I do spend a whole lot of time on the internet or thinking about the internet. It's been a place for me for a long time and I wouldn't have those things if it wasn't for this way of living my life. I like to be in this room. I like to have my computer. I like to see two screens of myself right now. No matter where I look, I can see myself. I play video games. I listen to music. I write code. I read blogs. I watch videos. I do just everything online to some degree. And I really love that. And this sort of person who is discovering Breakins and Bill Murray and Subi Club, like that personality type in me is the same personality type that there was when I was an 11 or 12-year-old discovering all these bands on the internet. Then that's how I discovered My Chemical Romance and how I discovered Fall Out Boy was just sort of talking to people and then using the internet to find out the rest of the things that I didn't know yet. And I don't know, that just like it holds some kind of magic for me. I often think about that scene in The Matrix, the very first Matrix, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. And I think, I always say like the first 45 minutes of The Matrix is the perfect cinematography of any film for me ever. Just Neo before he knows that he's the one, before he knows that he's in the Matrix, when he thinks he's living this life as Thomas Anderson. His name Thomas Anderson? I'm pretty sure it's Thomas Anderson. Mr. Anderson. And when they knock on the door and he wakes up, or he the computer says wake up Neo, and then he sees his computer or whatever, and then right as they knock on the door it goes back to what it was before, and he's like, what the hell's going on? And he goes outside and she tells him to follow the white rabbit, and then he sees the white rabbit tattoo on her neck and everything. That room that he's living in is to me such an perfect example of somebody who is living a life that I am absolutely fanatical about the concept of. This sort of creation of your own existence where you burrow super deeply into your own rabbit holes that you're interested in and believe your own truth. This is such a wishy-washy thing, but I mean this in some kind of way. Whenever you can trust yourself super well that whoever you are is the right person to be, for you at least, and that you can sort of burrow down as far as you possibly can to find all of these things out about yourself and the world around you, and that will lead you to the place that you're supposed to be. That is the life that I've always wanted to live, and being online, being in this space, being able to make my own content, being able to learn how to sculpt the reality that I'm looking for in real time is the closest thing to that I've ever been able to find, and I think that's why I cling to it so much. I often look at other people who seem to be, living out a reality, someone else's dream, I guess is the way that I would say it. Like they're stuck in someone else's idea of what life should be instead of their own idea of what life should be, to the point that I don't even know if they know what their idea of life being is anymore. In fact, I think a lot of times that the reasons that you see so much disagreement and argument on the internet is because it's so much easier to know what you don't think life should be than it is to see and to know what you think life should be. So it's very easy to call someone else out. To see somebody do something and you're like, that thing, those libs, dude, or like, oh, that thing, like, oh man, like those douchey Republicans, like that whole thing is just people who are malnourished in their own self. They haven't been building themselves very well at all, so they're sort of attached to this group. I saw a video the other day, dude, of this guy who was like the correct answer to when someone says I'm a Democrat, and he's like this redneck dude, and he takes this swing at this punching bag, like he goes to the punching bag and he like looks at the camera and he's like this. He's like an overweight kind of like backwards hat rednecky camouflage kind of guy, and he takes a swing at this punching bag and he goes off balance from the swing that he takes at this punching bag. Like he almost falls over doing it, and like I would think that this was a performance art piece if I didn't go to his profile and see the other posts that make me go, okay, this guy's serious about this. Just rants and things. And like, I just thought, and then you go to the comments on this video and there's a bunch of people who are like, and I just think, can you imagine seeing somebody like in this weird headspace of a moment where they literally take a swing at a punching bag and they almost fall over and their pants almost fall down, and you're like doing anything. Like you can relate to them and go, this is a cool guy, I agree with him. It's like this person can't even hit a punching bag and look cool doing it. How do you think that he's got the right ideas? I think about that kind of stuff all the time, man. Like I think about it with other people all the time where I'm like, you can't even spell words right. Why do you think that you have the right ideas about things if you can't even do this? Like, why do you think that you have all of the answers? It's so confusing to me. There's that statement of like, the smartest people think they're the dumbest and the dumbest people think they're the smartest, and maybe that has something to do with it, but it's always so astounding to me. I have been humbled so many times in my life when I think that I'm on some enormous high horse feeding it giant sugar cubes and someone knocks me off of it, that it's hard for me to ever state an opinion like, oh, this is definitely the way it is, dude. But so many people do that, and it just is alarming to me, I guess, to some degree. I don't know. It's astounding, dude. Living in the world is astounding, and I don't think it ever will stop being astounding for me. What's the correct way to hold a cup like this? I'm assuming you hold the cup like this. That's what the handle's for. But I like to hold a cup like this. I kind of wish the handle wasn't here. I wonder if I could break that hand. Bro, apple cider. If you haven't ever drank apple cider, highly recommend, dude. I went to Walmart and they just had it, and I was like, you know what? And I'm super, like I said, I'm super into fall, dude. Like, there is something about it. I love summer, but by the end of summer, there is something that feels like you are having a psychedelic experience every single day of your life. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I have mental illness. Maybe I'm stuck in manic episodes during the summer, but there is something about summer that by the end of it, I am like so frantic and so buzzed up from this. Every single day is hot. Every single day I'm expected to be on the go. There is no bad weather. There is no, reason. There is no snow, nothing that slows people down, that everyone's so absolutely revved up that finally when fall hits and people stop asking stuff of me, there's not yard work to be done, there's not a bunch of stuff that needs to be done around the house, other people don't have yard work that needs to be done, there's just like, it's just everything starts to slow down a little bit, but yet it's still totally okay to leave your house. Once you get into wintertime, it sucks to leave your house. Going out and going to the store even at 9 o'clock at night is just awful when it's 10 degrees out, when it's negative 10 degrees out, when it's negative 25 degrees out and there's snow on the ground and ice everywhere. That's a terrible time. But when it's 45 or 50 degrees out and like it's just that wind and the leaves are just that kind of vibe, dude. Oh my gosh, man. Like, I feel like my sanity is restored every single year when that happens. I love it. I do. I really do. Like, it makes me renew everything that I'm doing. I remember that I'm where I want to be, that I'm heading in the direction that I want to be heading in. It feels like I sort of bring everything back together, and I love it. I know that the seasonal affective disorder is coming, and that I'm going to be very, very disappointed in life in the next 3 or 4 months. So I enjoy this part, go to the gym a lot, get everything sort of squared away for wintertime, and then just kind of wait and enjoy it. I feel like there's way more moments to kick back and relax. I feel like my days have been less hectic over the past couple of days. I feel like I've had less things to do. Also, I don't stream on the weekends, or I didn't stream this past weekend. So that might be a part of the reason that I feel like everything's kind of slow right now. It's Monday night as I'm recording this. I'll be putting this up as soon as I'm done recording it so you guys can see it immediately and hear it immediately. Oh, guys, that's right, the fiber truck. I literally passed them today. They were, 300 feet away from my house now. 3 buildings between me and them where they were. So over the next few days, hopefully we will be getting fiber put in here. I'll probably be getting a call for them to set a time to install it. I'm assuming next week I'll probably have fiber actually in the house. And then the world is our oyster, fellas. 1080p 60 frame streams, basically no worries about losses or like low bit rates. I want to get a setup rig to start doing. I mean, I've been thinking about this. I try not to talk about the things I'm going to do, but I'm so set on this already that I'm going to talk about it because I don't care. Like, I know nothing's going to stop me from doing it. But like, I'm going to get an IRL streaming setup of some sort. Probably just use my camera or my phone and like a, what's it called, a gimbal, and just do like some IRL streams. I don't know if I can go to the gym and there's no one there, because you're not supposed to film in the gym, but like I'll do it if there's no one there because I'm not invading anyone's privacy that way. Then like I'll go to the gym and do that. Just little things like that, going out to eat or whatever, showing food and stuff, just like talking, doing the same thing that I do on a normal stream, but without having any video games and just kind of being out there. I know that as it gets into wintertime, it's way more like video game season for Twitch and everything, but I think that would be a really cool thing to do. I was watching Extra Emily last night and I just thought, I want to do this. This is really cool and this really excites me. And like, I often talk about how I don't watch a whole lot of streams or anything. And, it's odd because I tend to think of myself as being not super into actually watching streams, but I love the medium of streaming. I love the idea of being live. I love the idea of putting myself in front of people and like sharing these moments with people and giving it to the art form of streaming. Especially, when I was a kid, I really liked vlogging. And I think that vlogging was the exact same thing for me that streaming was. It was this really real capturing of your life, just what's going on with you day to day. You're walking around and you're just showing people this sort of thing. Really early vloggers too. I'm talking like, Charlie Is So Cool, like Live Lava Live, the Vlog Brothers, those kinds of people who would make these vlogs. I loved Casey Neistat. I thought Casey Neistat was like mind-blowingly, life-alteringly, paradigm-shiftingly good at what he did. I didn't discover, I knew who Casey was. I had seen like photos of him, but I didn't know what he was doing and like really understand who he was until 2018 or something. So like when he was already kind of wrapping up the whole vlogging every single day thing. But you're talking about like, dude, some of the best things that you can do on YouTube, if you've never done this, go play a video game, second monitor, Casey Neistat video. Pick any of them. Let it go. Let it go for 2 or 3 hours while you play this game. End up on some 7 video in a row stint of Casey Neistat's life and watch 7 days of his life and you're like, I know this mother. You know what I mean? That's the way that you feel whenever you watch enough Casey Neistat. He is so good at conveying what his life was like via cinematography and vlogging and all those things. Like I am absolutely astounded by it. Big ups to Casey Neistat. So anyways, I really liked vlogging. And then through vlogging, I guess, honestly, I started streaming before I discovered Casey Neistat. I don't know who I knew that streamed video games that made me feel like that was a thing to do, because I was streaming in 2017 or something like that. A long time ago at this point, 7 years ago. And I wasn't watching any streamers. I didn't know anything about Twitch culture at all. I'm not in trouble at all. I didn't know anything about Twitch culture at all. I didn't know who Soda Poppin was. I didn't know who Asmon was. I didn't know any of these people at that point. I'm not sure where I found out about streaming from. Maybe from Charlie. He's the closest thing, Moist Critical. He's the closest thing to a streamer that I knew about. Him and Donkey, maybe. But I wasn't watching anything on Twitch. I've never really watched anything on Twitch. I just really like this sort of like off the dome kind of format that you do when you're streaming. And so that kind of brings me into it. But I guess it had to be Charlie. I discovered Charlie way back in the day. I don't know why I call him Charlie. I know that I don't know that guy. I know I don't know him, but like, you know what I mean? I discovered him way back in the day when he was just a voice on the other side of the internet, making videos about Super Monkey Ball and saying the dumbest stuff in the world. And me and my friends all thought he was absolutely hilarious, to the point that me and my friends at one point were writing an abridged version of Yu Yu Hakusho, and we wanted Charlie to do the voice of the younger Toguro brother because we thought that would have been absolutely hilarious, just like dumb kid pipe dreams or whatever. But this was high school, so it was, we're talking 13 years ago or something, which seems impossible, but I guess that would have been 2011, so it's not that outlandish that he would have been making videos already then. So that must have been, how I guess I discovered that you could do a thing called streaming. and you could stream video games on Twitch. Someone might be able to point out to me really clearly, one of my friends or something who just can remember the situation better, the concept of like why that was and why I started doing that. But I remember, I like back on that wall back there, I had an old iMac on this old desk that I had gotten from a thrift shop. And I had like these umbrella lights that were like these one or two umbrella lights, and I don't even know how I got here. And I had these like one or two umbrella lights, and I didn't know anything about lighting. My stream looked absolutely terrible, and I played like Digimon World 1 and like Final Fantasy 6 and Chrono Trigger and just these old games that I really thought were the tits, you know, just I mean I never even thought about streaming something like RuneScape or making content or videos or anything. I mean I was making these weird vlogs that just didn't mean anything. They were just like jump cuts and LOL random and all this kind of stuff that was really honestly probably embarrassing looking back. I did interview Jesse Cannon at one point, which shows my penchant for interviewing people. But yeah, man, I don't know, these weird little things that I sort of started to do, and it like brought me up through all of this to connect with like the streaming art form, and I really like it, you know. I remember how I'm on this now, and so I want to get an IRL streaming setup because I think it's just going to be a gimbal, some spare batteries, and then my phone and maybe another phone so that I can look at chat and things while I'm actually streaming. But there's so many little cool things. I've been watching a lot of streamers recently. Like I've been watching Extra Emily, and she has you know, whenever her bitrate starts dropping because she's streaming from a phone, sometimes that just happens. It cuts to what I'm assuming are server hosted videos on her computer that are just clips from other streams that she's had. And I could do that from, you know, clips of my reaction videos and things and all that. So that's, you know, a really cool thing. There's like so much technology to look into, and I'm really interested in it. I love this stuff, man. You know, I genuinely, at the end of the day, like I have a real love and desire to make content. Like it's just so fun to me. It's so interesting. It's such a cool puzzle to solve. I like thinking about all the things and doing all that stuff. So like, I don't know. Like I said at the beginning of this, I'm in a really good headspace right now. I feel really good. My Maple Story grinding is going great, dude. I'm level 214 on 215 maybe now. I don't have that up right now. 215 maybe now on one of my characters. So I've got 5th job advancement. I have a Mercedes, which is one of the most it's one of my least favorite classes to play, but it's one of the most important ones. It's sitting at level 130. I used a burning coupon to get it there. I have all these potions that are going to get it to level 200. The second that its burning ends on the 11th, those coupons don't expire until the 14th, so that's like perfect timing for me. I could start another class right now and start playing them. I need to start playing Phantom because I need to get my critical hit up. I've gotten really good gear. I'm bossing extremely well, doing my dailies and everything. Like that game is going amazing. Throne and Liberty is honestly piquing my interest a lot, and I can't wait. I'm going to stream that game probably like Tuesday, Wednesday or something, and then do RuneScape like Thursday, Friday, and then, oh my God, that puts Saturday, Sunday for, well, yeah, we'll see what happens. Maybe I'll do that for Guild Wars 2. We'll see what happens this week, but I'll probably be streaming some of those games. I'm loving playing Guild Wars 2 again. Like, I am really just into it currently. I think that as I get through, Heart of Thorns, I'm probably going to go back and do Living World 1 and 2, I think, and just sort of like chill a little bit, do some dungeons and stuff, like just kind of like romp around and like not worry about progression in that game very much for a little while, because I feel like I'm stomping Guild Wars 2 right now, dude. I'm learning so much about it. I feel like I'm doing really, really well. RuneScape is like a blast again all of a sudden. I just finished Lost City. I have money for everything. All I really need to do is grind some combat stats and things. Like I'm just having a good time doing everything, honestly. School just started back up. I'm doing well in all of that. I don't know, man. Like I'm just having fun again. Like things just feel good. So I know it's kind of weird because like this podcast is literally called Cole Sounds Off, and you know that has like kind of a dual meaning. But I think people, you know, or at least I kind of expect me to use this as a place to kind of complain and say swear words and stuff. But I'm having a good time right now, dude. It's hard for me to find things that are bad. You know, my family has a little bit of like stuff going on. There's like some COVID going around in my family and some other things, but I haven't heard anything about that for a few days. So no news is good news. So like, it's kind of been out of my mind, honestly. And I don't know, man, things are just great. Like, I'm trying to think of other things to sort of think about currently, you know? I'm quitting Zins right now, he says with a question mark. I've been noticing some weird things about the Zins. And this is my own experience, and take it with a grain of salt. I have not seen a whole lot of people talk about these anywhere but like quitting Zen Reddit threads, and they rub me the wrong way. Like, it feels like people are trying to have clout in like being addicted to Zens in those threads, so I don't know how I feel about them in general. But I was experiencing fatigue whenever I had a Zen in. Whenever I would I had these a lot of anxiety and fatigue whenever I would have a Zen in. And when I say fatigue, I'm talking like just kind of like tiredness, you know? Like I sort of akin it to when I was like smoking pot when I was younger, and I would be really like lazy from it, you know, just like sort of didn't feel like doing anything, kind of felt a little bit nauseous, just like kind of like slumped over and just not knowing what to do. And Zens were starting to give me that kind of feeling. There was none of the head change that the marijuana would give me, but there was a lot of the like body feelings that it would give me, that sort of numbness, this lack of desire and feelings of like wanting to do anything. And then because I wasn't doing anything, I would start feeling really down about myself. And that was a whole thing that was going on with the Zens. So I came off the Zens cold turkey. Really, really easy to do, by the way. I quit smoking, I don't know, 7 years ago now or something. And quitting smoking was brutally hard. Like, I would just sit around and like crave for a cigarette. Couldn't think about literally anything else but like getting a cigarette. Like, would go out of my house to go find someone who had a cigarette, levels of fiending for it, you know, like would have picked them up off the ground and smoked them if I would have been able to, levels of fiending for it. And with Zens, the only thing that there's a couple of things, but the only reason that I felt that I would like put one back in my mouth now is because occasionally I just go like, I could put a Zen. No, I can't. And that's the whole thing, you know? Like, genuinely, I just go like, well, I could put a Zen. No, I can't. Never mind, I'm quitting that. But like, I imagine putting one in, and I don't even really know what it is that I'm imagining until I get far into it. But I'm thinking about going and sitting down at the desk, and I'm thinking about like doing this, and I'm like, that's a Zen. I'm not doing that. Like, so we have to not think about that now. But I've been able to disconnect from them very, very easily. I will say I'm having insomnia, which is really interesting. Last night, this is from, I'm assuming, quitting Zens. I've looked it up. This is a nicotine withdrawal symptom, is insomnia. Last night, I turned the TV off. I was watching some Hunter x Hunter before I went to bed. I turned it off around 2:10 or something. I would assume it was probably 4 o'clock before I fell asleep. I woke up at 8 a.m. I could not go back to sleep. I had to go downstairs and putz around until finally around like 10:30. I was able to fall back asleep on the couch, and I slept until 1. But I remember whenever I was working at both UPS and Black Sheep at the same time, that I would experience insomnia in much the same way, where I would, so I was in like a biphasic sleep schedule whenever I was doing that, because I worked at Black Sheep in the mornings at 9 a.m. and then I worked at UPS in the evenings, Monday through Friday at 9 p.m. And I would work 9 p.m. until 2 a.m., 3 a.m., depends on how long the work would be. So I would have to go home, take a shower, get warmed up or cooled down, or however it was, if it was summer or winter time. And then I would have to get to sleep around 5 or 4, and I would sleep for 4 hours, wake up, go to work that day until 4 p.m., come home, sleep for another 4 hours, and I would do that. It was like biphasic sleep schedule. And then on the weekends, when I would either have neither job or I would have to work only one of the jobs, Black Sheep, which is a restaurant, I would wake up at that 8 a.m. mark still, and it was like insomnia, or I couldn't go to sleep at night whenever I didn't have the other job to work at. You know, I couldn't go to sleep at 9 or 10. It was like insomnia. My brain was just, even though I was so tired, my brain just physically would not go into sleep mode. And that's the way I was feeling last night. No lights on or anything, just looking at like the lights in the room, barely reflecting off of things, not looking at my phone. Phone was way over there on the charger, not touching anything, just laying there for an hour and a half, and my brain just, you know, just what I'm assuming is going on is that my brain's going, oh, we normally have a lot of this nicotine thing, and we don't have any of that right now. Like, why haven't you given us any of that nicotine thing? We must like still need to go get some of that. And that's what I think my brain is doing, if anything. But I'm hoping that goes away before too long, and then I can get back into some good sleep and maybe stay away from nicotine. It's difficult because I really feel like I always need some kind of stimulus or input, and the nicotine and the caffeine are such an easy thing for me to just put into my mouth. Same thing with sugar, you just put it in like a communion wafer, and then you're just feeling something all of a sudden. And that stimulus really keeps my brain going. Like I've said to a bunch of people, I think, at least I assume, that I have some form of ADHD, and and these things really help me. And so I kind of worry the long-term effects of it. Tiff even asked me today, she said, do you think it's you quitting nicotine that's making you feel so good right now? Or do you think it's just the fact that you've had some kind of change in your life being the quitting nicotine, but it's you feeling different that you're feeling good from? And I said, oh, totally. I've thought about that same thing. Like, is the whole reason that I start and end addictions all the time, I'll have coffee and then I'll quit coffee, and then I'll start, nicotine and then I'll quit nicotine, or, I'll start playing a game and then quit playing a game. Maybe it's just because I'm looking for some kind of novelty in my life, and the novelty like stimulates my brain really heavily, and so I use that as some kind of fuel, and I don't even realize I'm doing that. Totally. I don't know. Maybe that's something for a therapist to figure out, not really so much me, because I don't know how to observe all of that and figure it out myself. But with the whole ADHD thing, I'm hoping that in the next month or so, I can try to get some kind of diagnosis, and whether it's medication or some kind of, therapeutics of some other kind, figure out some kind of way to treat this in a way that's not so destructive and not so myself medicating me, not caffeine and nicotine and all these little things that I'm just throwing in my body so that I can feel dopamine all the time to continue my pathway through life. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for. We'll see what happens, guys. What's the one? Tsubasacon, the anime convention, is coming up this coming weekend. I'm pretty excited for that. I think we're going with me and Tiff are going with her friend Abby and Britton, he's in the chat sometimes. I think we're gonna go to that and have a good time. I might stream some of that while I'm there. We'll see if I can get this rig before I head off. I'll probably, in the next little while or something, like order that gimbal, and yeah, man, I don't know. I mean, I'm like, overall, I'm just kind of happy with the way things are going. I'm excited to kind of play some new games. I want to do some spooky games this month because it's spooky month. I want to play Silent Hill maybe on stream at some point, the new Silent Hill 2 remake, because Silent Hill 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. And that would be a really fun one to do. Maybe I'll play some Dead by Daylight, and we could kind of all play together. If you guys, we could trade out like every single match. Me and Tiff have been playing that game for a really long time. I'm sure some of you have as well. That could be a really cool thing to do. But besides all that, guys, how are you guys doing? I hope you're doing well out there. I hope that you guys, have been having a good time and figuring things out and sort of having a similar experience to mine, because mine's been so solid lately. Other than that, I really can't think of a whole lot to talk about today. I think, 41 minutes is pretty good for this. Maybe I should try to go for like an hour and 20 or something starting next time, or I don't know. I don't know how long do you guys think that I should do a podcast for? I know that most podcasts are sort of around an hour and 20. The 10-minute pod is always a 10-minute podcast. So, I think I'm going to have guests on at some point as well. Like I thought about having Tiff on here. I thought that could be kind of a fun thing to do, and to sort of like have questions for her and all that. I think that could be really fun. I thought about having Jacob on, even Jake Roberts, one of my friends. I thought about having Chris on. I thought about having my friend Rob. I thought about having my friend Heath, like my friend Greg. There's just a lot of people that I know who I think would be really fun to sit around and just sort of like talk about these things, these processes and these games and just everything about with. I think that would be really, really cool. So maybe we'll get to that at some point in the future. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. This has been Cole Sounds Off, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye, fellas. Bye.